I was gonna put this on my head to do a reference to the UFO ending of Silent Hill 2,
That's a
and
good
now I've
one.
done it, and now it's just gonna be the intro. Woo!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Jen and Jake's Bizarre Affray. And the last time we got on here, we talked about comedy in broad strokes. And today will be comedy will happen, but I think it will not be what we talk about, but rather what we are the subjects of. The mockery is of us. Because today we are revisiting for the third time a little town called Silent Hill with Return to Silent Hill. And we
I'm
will,
here in our special place.
this is our special place now, and we will be joined in our special place by our friend when the time comes. But first, we're going to talk about Jen's recommendation to me, which instead of going to Silent Hill, is going to take us to the pre-falling of the Berlin Wall, Berlin, with Wings of Desire. And Jen, why did you recommend me Wings of Desire?
I recommended you Wings of Desire because I ran out of ideas. None of my good things that I've had in my notes for months really felt like the right thing to do. One, because you're incapable of playing video games right now, and two, just because I felt lost. And I felt the need to go back to something that I had already kind of well trodden, something that I really felt defined me.
Hmm.
To choose a good recommendation for this show that felt very ambitious, I felt like I had to give something of myself. Because let me tell you my experience with this movie. I first watched Wim Wenders' film Wings of Desire back during the pandemic, when literally all I was doing was sitting at home, doing what was left of my schoolwork for the semester, and watching movies when I wasn't doing that.
Those were the days.
Sun up to sundown, I was on the Criterion channel, or I was on Netflix, or I was looking at what HBO was currently rolling on the cable channel and watching in my parents' basement. And one of the movies that I got to that completely changed my life was Wings of Desire. And I immediately told everybody that I knew about this movie. I was just like, dude, you have to watch Wings of Desire, to anybody that I could find who was willing to listen. Because this movie is still kind of an anomaly that I'm not really sure how to describe. It really is unlike anything that I've ever seen. It's an art film that is approaching very heady concepts about the human experience through elements of speculative fiction that can easily get very bogged down if you spend too much time thinking about the mechanics of it based on certain things that the characters say. That if you can get stuck on, the whole movie might get ruined for you because that's not really what the movie is about. Because Wings of Desire is a movie about experience. And I wanted you to have an experience. So, what was that like for you?
So I had never seen a Wim Wenders film, and for those of you who are unaware, dude is very storied, very acclaimed director, also responsible for other classics like Paris, Texas, a movie I saw 20 minutes of and then had to abruptly stop for reasons that had absolutely nothing to do with the movie. So I have always been looking for an excuse to get into one of his films, and Wings of Desire was always like just one of the movies. This is, if you go into film school, if you get into film circles, the first time you start hear somebody talking about people like Ingmar Bergman, you're gonna get somebody bringing up Wings of Desire eventually. And I didn't know anything about it, and I actually only discovered recently that I had seen the remake of this film before I saw it. and how that had zero bearing on my thoughts whatsoever because it is such a completely different movie.
I
For
was
those
gonna
of you,
say, I've never seen City of Angels, but I mean, it is very funny that this movie, in a roundabout way, did still contribute one of the best things ever to happen to society, which is Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
one of the biggest fumbles of the Academy, the Motion Picture Academy of Arts and Sciences ever did was not awarding that song an Oscar.
I had a
And
rapturous experience listening to that song live at Bourbon and Beyond.
oh God, dude, I remember like not 2 weeks ago, Rhiannon and I were talking in the car, and I was just like, I'm the kind of dork who thinks that Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls is a 100% perfect stone cold piece of art. And she's like that was like my favorite song for like the first 20 years of my life. And I'm like, you know what? I'm marrying the right person. Fuck yeah. But that's a movie that it's an American romantic comedy kind of like it's sort of a drama but like not really. It's Nicolas Cage is an angel and he wants to fuck Meg Ryan so he becomes a human and it's like in broad strokes some of these things do happen in Wings of Desire but like the tone, the approach, the filmmaking, it's pretty fucking different. So I decided to do this in the best circumstances I knew possible. I drive a little truck at work. And what I did is I downloaded the Criterion transfer of this film onto my laptop. I brought my laptop to work with me. And I, last night, decided to sit on the back of my truck in the middle of nowhere and watch this movie in the night air just because I was like, this feels like a cool idea.
That sounds awesome.
And
I
look,
envy you for being able to see this movie for the first time in that context.
I feel so past the point of trying to like drum up suspense for what I thought of this because like that's just more time I could spend talking about how this is one of the single most incredible movies I have ever seen.
I knew
I
it. I knew
I'm
you would be a mark for this.
oh for like just directly into my soul. And I still I had an idea of what this was, but I knew nothing about the finer mechanics and the way that it worked or whatever. And basically this movie is it's almost beautifully devoid of all exposition whatsoever. And you just kind of slowly find out what it's about through how it shows it to you. Because for a little while in the opening of this film, you are seeing images strewn about pre-fall Berlin and you are seeing these random people and you're hearing their inner monologues talk and there's nothing organized about their thoughts. They are completely random. They seem to be thinking random things at random moments. Sometimes it's observational. Sometimes they're commenting on something that they're remembering, something they're commenting on things that they're currently experiencing. And you ultimately come to the conclusion that, oh, this is from the perspective of an angel. An angel in this movie is specifically very secular, not in imagery, because every angel in this movie wears like a very specific kind of overcoat, and they're sometimes depicted with some wings, like the traditional Judeo-Christian imagery. But like aside from that specific visual reference point, these angels don't seem to answer to anything within the context of this story.
Yeah,
They
they're beings that were born at the creation of the universe.
and they say
That's it.
their explicit purpose, as they say, is to testify, literally to observe, to just sort of see the flow of events in the universe. And part of why I loved so much of this is that all of its exposition to me was emotional rather than textual. I inferred so much more about this movie and its characters by the way they talked about things rather than what they actually talked about. when this movie in its first third is kind of just segueing over between just different various characters who inhabit this environment, you just kind of get this bird's eye view and slowly come to find out that like yeah there are these angels and they can sort of interfere with people, like they can sort of console them or approach them and touch them even though humans can't technically see or even strictly feel, but it will manifest in them as a feeling of comfort or a feeling of warmth or even a feeling of clarity. Like there's a scene at the start where he's kind of walking in a train car and you see the faces of each person and you hear their thoughts as he walks past them. And he comes to the end of the train car and there's this guy who's like really just freaking out, having a terrible day, worrying about his family, worried about like whether or not his children love him. And so the main angel in this movie, played by Bruno Ganz, just kind of sit next to him and just sort of like pats him on the shoulder. And he gets like this brief sort of flash of like motivation to just be like, to not like fix all of his problems necessarily, but to be like, I got myself here. I can get myself out of this. So there's like a little bit of influence that these characters can have over people, but they cannot interact with them. Like there's this deceptively really intelligent shot of this sort of the angel within this trailer, and he picks up this rock that's sort of on this countertop, and it's sort of this like semi-translucent view of him picking up like a copy of the rock rather than touching the actual rock. So it's like he can, see a version of it and interact with a version of reality, but not a tangible one. So all of these things are conveyed to you just in very, very simple showcases of action in this film. Like everything about it is very, very deceptively subtle. And I love this approach because, as you say, like with a fantasy movie like this, and it is like an urban fantasy movie at the end of the day, like it's just an urban fantasy movie that's not using these tropes in the way that we're used to seeing them. It's kind of
Is
doing
an
it
urban
from.
fantasy trope about the fantastical meaning the urban and not the other way around.
Yes, it's a little bit more heady than these stories usually are, but that's kind of what makes it great. In that I loved listening to the narration from the perspective of the angels in the first part of this movie because the way they talk about everything gives you such a good idea of how they feel as cosmic beings. You get this feeling of ennui, but it's also not an uncomplicated ennui. Like the angels aren't all constantly sad that they can't be humans and experience human emotions. They actually quite enjoy being these observational beings and convening with each other and just sort of noticing these little tiny things. And they talk about like the story of war is not done yet is a line that's kept ringing in my head ever since I heard it. And they view everything in these macro ways and like, the story of this is not over yet. The story of that is over. And they're talking about civilizations. They're talking about empires. They're talking about ideologies that have come and gone. So you get a really great idea of understanding what it's like to be one of these angels, somebody who can't feel pain but has an idea of what it is. It honestly, like the only other, it's so strange that this is the reference point I came back to, but the only other way I've seen angels kind of utilized in this way was like Death Note. It had a very similar kind of approach to that sort of thing with the Shinigami in that universe, and I was like, that is kind of what we're doing here, except it's not doing the explicit like, oh, we're taking the souls to the afterlife. This is purely observational. And that becomes very metatextually fascinating to me because this movie is also occasionally talking about film and filmmaking and performance and stuff. And that I really didn't expect to happen, including Peter Falk to show up as Peter Falk filming an episode of Columbo in Berlin. Like canonically, it's not even like oh, he's playing a Columbo type game. No, in the universe of the movie, Peter Falk is Peter Falk filming Columbo there, and he's on set, and you periodically hear his thoughts. And it's so interesting to hear a director and writer talking about the elements of filmmaking that you never hear writers and directors talk about. You get to hear him talk about things like extras and how patient they are, and about how they just have to sit around all day and nobody pays attention to them, but they still do their jobs. And he's just going around and he's sketching things of them. And so you get this thing where it's like angels are observers. So, in the language of film, this really means that angels are cameras. And that explains the way this movie looks because, oh my God, the camera work in this movie. I what do I even fucking say, man? Like, this is one of the most beautiful films, visually speaking, from a cinematography standpoint, I have ever seen. I have officially discovered that I adore the architecture of Berlin. Because when I was watching this movie, I kept thinking about other movies that I loved that are set in places like Berlin. I thought about movies like the 2018 Suspiria remake, my favorite horror movie ever, and about how much of that movie is in its architecture, and about how interesting and different and brutalist and odd it all looks. And the way this movie shoots it makes it look like an alien world sometimes. Like that shot, those shots of the interior of the library in this movie. Oh my, like it looks like the only other movie to shoot a library like this is Seven. Is that those shots in the library in Seven of Morgan Freeman like walking around? That's the only movie that manages to capture the rustic beauty of a giant environment the way that this does. And the way that the camera will just kind of swoop around. Like the first hour of this is nothing but a camera just gliding around. It feels like a Gaspar Noé movie, but if somebody had much tighter reins on it. And ultimately, we come to discover that all of these experiences are being absorbed by our sort of de facto main character, played by Bruno Gahn, who is an angel who is slowly, succumbing to that existential ennui of wanting to feel more than he's capable of being envious of the humans that he's able to observe. But the way we find that out is just through him observing them, showing it to us. And Bruno Gans, man. I've not really seen him in much, but this like he doesn't even need to speak in this movie. It's just a movie built on beautiful camera work and his impossibly fantastic facial expressions. He conveys such warmth. Like he doesn't look like a traditional leading man and he's a little bit older than typical leading men are in movies like this. But he just conveys this comfort. Like I want Bruno Gans in this movie to be my dad. Like he just radiates this like, yeah, if I was dying, I would want like there's this incredible shot near the start of it where he sees this ambulance driving by and then it cuts into it and then he becomes inside the ambulance as a woman is giving birth. And there's this great little moment where he just observes the husband who's like kind of freaking out that she's giving birth in there and he's just like, God, what I wouldn't give to suffer in her place. And they just like look at each other and he just like looks at them after he sees it. And that's like all you need. It's like you understand completely what this movie is about. It's just like he wants that. He wants to be able to feel for someone else like that. And it's just, oh, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful, Jen. I mean, I don't need to tell you, obviously, but I mean, oh my God. It's such an immediately enrapturing experience. I was so taken with all of it.
It's also a movie that uses its place to reflect on the importance of storytelling. Because you have my favorite character in this, Homer, the old blind
Yeah.
man, the
Oh,
conspicuously named old blind man, who is talking about how he wishes he could get back to the plots to tell everyone his story. And
oh,
so not only is he a wannabe Odysseus, he is a wannabe Homer in and of himself. And that maybe one of my favorite scenes in all of film is that long shot of him just wandering around that empty field that used to be the
yes.
plots, talking
Yes.
about how badly he misses the plots and
Fuck.
seeing Damiel, the other, or not Damiel, Cassiel, the other angel, watching him throughout the whole movie. Cassiel is kind of the audience surrogate in a more direct way because he is our view into somebody that's going to see Damio Bruno Gods' character fall because that's the thing is that they've established that angels can, on purpose, whenever they want to, fall and become human. For some reason, it's the point of the movie, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's the crux, it's the dramatic crux of the movie. If you've really got to stick up your ass about how that works, I don't really know what to tell you, man.
and so Cassio is watching Homer, wishing he could tell the story. Meanwhile, that's Cassio and Damiel's whole
Bit.
job is to observe and testify, to tell the stories. And so in a way, I see Cassiel as a person who maybe doesn't envy the human experience, but envies the human storyteller's experience.
Yes.
Where Homer is able to feel the story that he wants to tell so deeply, even though he can't actually articulate it. Whereas Castiel is observing the story the whole time, even after Damiel becomes human, we can see Castiel watching him in the background of some of the
Yes.
shots in the movie.
Yes.
And all he can do is watch. And it's so great. It's such a powerful use of a secondary character in a story like this to really emphasize the movie's themes.
The way I kind of looked at it was that I kind of saw Cassiel as a stand-in for screenwriters, and I saw Damiel as a stand-in for directors.
Or even
Somebody,
actors.
yes,
Yeah, to
or
get to feel the
performers.
story.
Because and it ended up being a movie that is a lot about performance because the sort of crux at which causes Damiel to eventually take the plunge and fall is that he falls in love slash feels this unexplainable magnetism towards this circus performer named Marion, who is I cannot accurately pronounce this actress's name, Sylvie de Martin. I do not know if I'm saying that correct. Holy good God, she is one of the most beautiful people I have ever laid eyes on. The way this movie shoots her is like, holy fuck, I don't
It's like
know.
Fassbinder levels of
Yes,
capturing a leading lady.
you are just like I didn't know that cameras could make people look this beautiful, and you just like the act of looking at other human beings in this movie becomes a weirdly intimate process that I feel like is not an accident because she is a performer basically, and she is at this circus, and the way that the movie kind of leads into it is that we follow the narrative paths of a couple of characters who intersect at the circus, and he ends up watching her perform. And it's sort of the last show before this circus is going to get shut down and everybody's going to lose their jobs and everybody's going to have to go find where else to work because the job market is terrible in pre-fall Berlin. I didn't know if you knew about this, but people were kind of struggling over there. It was kind of rough. There's a lot of political subtext in this movie, a lot of it that, frankly, I am probably not prepared to unpack in its entirety just because it's not something I know a super big amount about. And any amount that I did remember and looked up, I wrote for my thesis on Suspiria in college and have forgotten.
Let me
So
go in on this one particular very politically motivated
go,
monologue in this movie, which there's a
go for it.
monologue, and I can't even tell who says it because of the way that the scene is edited and the way that some of the voices in this movie do air a little bit more similar to each other than others, just because I don't have a hugely deep understanding of the German language. But anyway, there's a monologue in this movie where somebody, and I think it might be Homer, is talking about how society as he saw it collapsed
Yes.
when he saw people putting flags outside of their houses instead of talking to each other.
Hmm.
And I'm like 99.9% paraphrasing. And
Yeah,
he
it's
saw,
not subtle about that.
yeah, no, it's not subtle about this movie's connections to Nazi Germany in the wake of it, in the way that Berlin serves, at least for me, as Wenders' kind of transition from the fallout and the recovery of Nazi Germany to the immediate collapse that was going to happen after that from everything else that happened that led to the Berlin Wall being built in the first
It's
place.
it's just another example of a threshold being crossed, which is kind of another large theme of this movie and how it will segue from the perspective of the angels and the humans and turn from black and white to color, an aspect that I had no idea was actually going to happen. So once it did, I was like, whoa, holy shit. And I mean, like, it's a beautiful movie either way, but like just getting that moment of segueing from the black and white to the color, specifically like whenever Danielle is looking at Marion, like those transitions are just fucking unbelievable. The one where she's looking at the mirror and he looks at her through the other side of the mirror, like, oh man, this movie just it's like every single shot in it, they went out of their way to be like, what is the most dynamic way we can shoot this singular idea? Like the blocking in this movie is legitimately some of the best I have ever seen, period. This goes beyond Spielberg levels of good. Like the way that this fucking movie shoots the interior of an apartment complex made me whoop and holler and cheer because it was so well blocked, so methodical, so beautiful, but it never felt sterile either. It always felt like it had a human, organic energy behind it. And that's like the absolutely unreal accomplishment of Wenders' direction. And also, notably, the assistant direction of one Miss Claire Denis, fucking apparently, which I also had no clue about going in, but was like, wow, yeah, I definitely know where she cribbed a few notes. The elliptical structure of this, oh boy, howdy. Very, very Claire Denis. Very much approve of that. But the just the overall sensibilities in how this movie looks and feels, but never abandons a human touch is superb because it would be so easy for a movie like this to become kind of unrelatable or just like, oh, it's a slow artsy film and it's in black and white sometimes and it's about a lot of people talking about very big, lofty, contemplative ideas. And look, if on the face of it, that description doesn't sound appealing to you, I don't know, widen your perspective a little bit. It's not that big of a deal. But I feel like this movie is so warm and so inviting for the audience to interact with its ideas and to percolate with it that like there's never a moment at which this feels slow. It is a dense movie, but it is also not overwhelming. I feel like it's skillfully directed in that way and it gives you enough different intersecting pieces. Like the Peter Falk sections of the movie, for instance, do a really good job at grounding it in something that feels like relatable because Peter Falk is literally just like he's a guy. He's just a guy and he's going around and he has very simple thoughts about things.
Well, he's a guy, but he's also a big crux of the plot because
Yes.
he's a former angel who's fallen.
And he
And
can see
angels
him,
that
he
have
can detect
fallen can
him.
sense angels when they're around still. And so there's a
Yes.
very funny running gag in this movie where he introduces himself to Damio and then introduces himself to Cassio in the exact same way,
Mm-hmm.
does this whole bit, and they're shot completely differently. Where like when Peter Falk reaches out his hand to shake Damiel's, it's shot very intimately because you
Yes.
know that Damiel wants to follow the action. But when Cassio isn't gonna take the bait, it's shot like a funny scene of a dude talking to himself.
Yes. It's very good. The movie actually has a lot of really strong comedic sensibilities. And what I love too about the way that this movie writes its monologues when it's portraying people's inner thoughts is that it's like I kind of have a pet peeve when movies do this thing where they think and like they portray people's thoughts out loud and it sounds like dialogue. And it always like it gets at me because it's like that's not how people think though. Like that's not how people's inner voice actually functions. And as somebody with a very active inner voice, it makes it kind of not relatable to me when movies do that. It makes me feel like that it takes me out of it really. So the fact
Mr.
that this movie
Robot, one of the few galaxy-brained examples of how to have it both ways.
the way I literally thought about like the Mr. Robot Koyaanisqatsi montage when there was a segment of this movie, and I was like, there's definitely some overlap here. Sam Esmail really fucking likes this movie. And you know who else fucking really likes this movie? Mike fucking Mills. I thought about 20th century women and come on so much during this movie. The way that it films architecture and the way that it plays with narration is exactly like come on. And I mean, like, that's already, like, if you want to dig back in this channel, that's one of my 10 favorite movies. That's a good thing to do. But it's also not, it's not exactly the same thing. This is a very different kind of thing. But I love the tone that it has in its more like really down to earth and kind of human moments, which are a lot of them do kind of exist within Peter Falk because the way he thinks about things and people is it's stream of consciousness. It's rapid fire. He'll observe a couple of things that he sees and then he'll be like, I wonder what I should get my kids for Christmas. Like there'll just kind of be that way. And that's how kind of everybody thinks. And it makes it somehow more immersive by being less structured. Because like when normal movies do that, they adhere to the dialogue rule just because that's easy for people to understand. This is actively creating a barrier of separation intentionally that you kind of have to dislodge to engage with. But that's kind of the thing with fantasy movies like this is that that's a sign that I feel like they know what they're doing, that they're being intuitive, that they're teaching you how to watch them as you watch them. That's what good direction is at the end of the day. It's how intuitive the direction is presented to you and how well you're able to grasp onto the ideas. And I mean, this movie's just so fucking full of them. I was never not totally captivated with an image that was thrust in front of me, but like when this movie manages to really focus down on some of its sequences and really become a little bit narrower in its scope in its second half, I was a little worried because I was like, I could just watch 3 straight hours of these angels going around Berlin and just like observing people. I really could, and I would probably five-star that movie because it is just such a well done creative exercise that feels like such a pure human thing. But once he turns human and he actually gets, to start experiencing these little things, it's so like genuinely heartwarming. He just gets to go around and like sip some hot coffee that probably tastes like shit, but the look on his face after he sips some of it and like the way that he just kind of exhales and sees his breath and like you can see his eyes kind of light up at seeing it. And it's like there's so many tiny little subtleties that you really believe that this dude is experiencing these things for the first time and not even just in oh, it's quirky, he's a fish out of water. He's just like these things that I've been watching people do for literal eons, for millions of years, since the dawn of time, and now I get to do them too. And it's the kind of thing that makes you be like, man, death really ain't shit, you know? Like you start being afraid of the inevitability of death a little bit less after you watch movies like this because you just start to accept the greater mystery. That's what the movie kind of ends up being. And when he goes to the circus to sort of talk to the woman that he had felt attracted to, and you see that the circus is packed up and left, and he just kind of has that moment where he sits down and it lingers on him. And I was wondering, I was just like, yeah, I mean, that sucks. And then I'm like, I get what this moment means though, because he's feeling sadness, he's feeling it authentically, but he's enjoying it. He's enjoying feeling that sting for the first time because it's something that he's never experienced before. Even
Yeah.
the painful things, as kind of glib as this can sound, are things that he genuinely values because it's like I've been at a distance from this pain for so long, and now it's mine. And it's like,
And
oh,
it even affects Cassio because the one little character conflict that that character has is that early on in the movie you see Cassio not be able to use his presence to prevent someone from committing suicide.
yes, that's such a good moment too.
And
It fakes you out at first.
he spends the
Oh,
whole rest of the movie just kind of hanging around. And then when Damiel becomes a human, Cassio starts following him.
hmm.
But we don't really get inside of his head because that's no longer the point of the movie. But
No.
there's this great bit where Damiel is thinking to himself about how much he just appreciates being able to be in Marion's presence while she's rehearsing her trapeze act. And
Yes.
Cassiel's just sitting behind them, watching them.
Watching. And You're just there's so many times where you find yourself thinking completely in concert with whatever character you're looking at, where you're just completely inhabiting their headspace because the movie is so good at putting you in the headspace of any given person at any given moment. And there's even like the way that it focuses on her during the trapeze segment is so interesting because it's just like you're basically discovering him discover what sexual attraction is. Like you can just sort of tell with the way that it frames her body and her legs, but it's not, creepy or lecherous or even like hugely voyeuristic. It's just like the beauty of the human body and what it's able to accomplish and how she's able to use her body as an instrument for what she does. And it's like it's a very holistic appreciation of just the physical form. And you get that in other places within this. Like you see other people and it focuses on very distinct parts of their body or just a motion or something that they do on a very small level. And then it will just segue to another person. And you have to take active thought and be like, what did this thing that this movie showed me tell me about the people in it? And you always have an answer. There's never really anything that's elusive. You can always bite into something that the movie shows you. And I mean, look, I was already on board with this 100% by like the 20-minute mark, and it just really kept going. And then the movie was just like, Jake, you having a good time?
Ha!
You having a good time, Jake? Okay. Well,
I know where this is going.
do you like Nick Cave? Boy, howdy do I! I only own more vinyl of the man's band than any other existing artist. I listen to him all the goddamn time. Here's one Nick Cave concert. And here's another one, just fucking because. And also, Marion has a From Her to Eternity vinyl that she spins in her trailer, and I'm just like, you motherfucker! I don't know what it is about Nick Cave, but that dude, between this and the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, is just like, I will appear in every one of the single most beautiful films ever made, and you cannot stop me. And why is he so fucking hot in this movie? That's for every bit the movie focuses on Marion in kind of a way that shows her, in a sexually attractive way.
Oh
It
yeah, the
uh,
movie
it
is just as sexually reverent for Nick Cave
it's
as it is
more
for her.
reverence, if anything. He is gyrating on stage. I mean, like, that is how he performs. That is what he did. But, like, good God. But even then, I love that segment because it fully captures the appeal of being at a post-punk concert, of fucking being in that environment and just vibing. You see Marion after that long day and feeling like shit and then discovering that she doesn't have a job and she just goes to this concert and she just loses herself completely. And it's like, fuck. That is the goal when I go to a concert. I want to feel exactly like she's feeling. And you just sit there and you vibe with her. And you gotta get to discover that the angels discover the appeal of it in real time as well. And then once they finally like get to interact face to face at the end of the movie, it's I don't know how they made that conversation feel so fucking satisfying, so conclusive, so holistic between the two of them. Like I was like I feel like this is inevitably going to disappoint me somehow just because it feels like you can't capture the spectrum of this movie in one moment in the way that it might try to. And it did. I was fucking floored. I was just like, this moment here is so like again, it has a lot to do with Gons and of course the actress who plays Marion, but just the way he is filled with such warmth, but you can like there's just this little like glimmer in his eye where you can tell that he knows that for as much as he's enjoying and loving and reveling in the moment, he does know it has to end. He knows that it will. There is a flicker behind his eyes that knows and recognizes the general ennui that he brought from being an angel. But it's just like he's so enthusiastic to live the life that he's been given. It's just like he can't. It's just he shoves it away because It's not important right now. It just isn't. It won't be important until it actually happens. This movie has a really humanistic love and reverence for human life. This movie is like a, if such a thing can be a sort of manifesto on the virtues of peace and humanism, this has to be that. I don't think I've seen anything that does that better than this does.
Yeah, in terms of capturing that, it's on the level with like the best of Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dreams was something actually I thought about an awful lot. Another one of my absolute favorite movies. Like and another one is Ikiru. Ikiru is a
Yeah.
movie that I feel like is tonally very comparable to this and focuses on a lot of the same sort of intimacy. But like love Ikiru, but there is an issue I have with that movie where it's like once a certain character exits, I do find the preceding events to be marginally less compelling. But the characters here hold their screen time so well. I want to know what happens to each and every one of them. Like just again, that moment you talked about, if the guy, he walks out into the middle of that field and finds that single chair, which was an image eerily reminiscent of one of my favorite shots from Pink Floyd's The Wall, which I think is a really
Yeah.
interesting connection of a pre and post Berlin Wall take on an image that feels like it's directly evoking the aftermath of what it felt like to be alive but still be aware of the world around you. And just he
Yeah,
sits there and he's like,
it's almost like Homer has dedicated himself to being the first person that's going to rebuild the block.
Yes,
Whereas,
yes.
Pink is the last person alive who's so disconnected he doesn't even realize it, but Homer is the person that's going to resurrect the block.
He wants to be the guy that tells the story that gets people motivated to do that. He wants
Yeah.
this place to be what it was. And like you value architecture and space in this movie as much as you begin to value the people in it. It becomes its own thing where it's like these spaces are valuable because they contain these people. And when they're erased, part of these people is erased. So when we have him standing in the middle of that field and it is just implied that those buildings are not there anymore, there is a tangible loss you feel. You do feel it's almost like looking at an empty field manages to evoke the same feeling you get when you look at a corpse. And when you actually do see some of the more like war-torn imagery that's within this, which is scant but still very, very evocatively applied halfway through, I think in that scene where he is kind of talking about the fall and just sort of seeing the collapse of society, and it's so like I've seen far more upsetting images in a vacuum, but contrasted against the warmth of the movie, like you see the corpse of a child, and it's like the burden you feel is just insurmountable. You suddenly are just like the framing just makes every image feel like it has so much more weight than it would without like being in a vacuum. And like that's what movies are. Like that's what they're supposed to be, is that they're supposed to be a series of images that make a greater purpose. And it's like I don't know if I know many examples of a movie that I could use to extol what the virtues of cinema as an art form even is, like better than Wings of Desire. Like the last time I saw something like this that affected me in this way was when I saw All That Jazz for the first time in college. When I went to the sort of they had this big showing of it in school, and I went to this little like this fucking dark auditorium that we all watched it in on this giant fucking projector, and I was just like the filmmaking itself made me feel something. And it's a distinct feeling when you recognize that it's not because you're being like emotionally manipulated. You're being like, oh no, I'm recognizing the work and the effort and the effect that it's having on me, and I'm feeling like the actual power that art can have over you. And I was like, I walked away from that being like, going to school for this was the right choice. And when I walked away from this, I was like, this is the first time I felt that feeling again as strongly as I have. And I feel like for people like us, what is better?
That's
What
such a
tops
great
that?
full circle moment because I mean, I saw this for the first time in the middle of my undergraduate, and it completely rejuvenated my love for film, even as I was watching, God, probably 5 movies a day.
Right? Right? Fuck. Like I mean I did see this and I immediately like I wrote a little bit afterwards because I was just like I gotta like do something. It's the kind of movie that makes you excited to participate in storytelling. It's the kind of thing that makes it feel worthwhile and not just like this frivolous thing that you like to participate in occasionally. And like I don't know, man, that's it's just you don't see movies made that just are able to accomplish technically what this is able to accomplish and also move the emotional mountains that it does. And while being so subtle, it doesn't ever like take a swing and be like and now here's the moment where you're supposed to feel all the feelings. Like there's never a like oh like it's quiet. But the older I get, the more I find like quiet to be the optimal mode for this kind of stuff.
Just talking about this has like made my week better.
Right? Like this legitimately revitalized and like made me feel better and happy. Like the best movies are the ones where when you leave them, you feel like you appreciate everything a little bit more. And it is the kind of movie where you're just like, I want to stop and live life a little bit slower than I have been. To just acknowledge the small beauties and things that I should be grateful for because I mean, yeah, like things suck right now for a lot of people, for us, for a plethora of reasons. But I mean, like it sucked for people in Berlin too, and they found ways to be happy, we shouldn't like diminish the universal human happiness that we can experience together just because things are awful and have always been awful. Like it's the kind of thing that it's like a Paris is burning kind of optimism where it's just like nothing, nothing could douse this fire. Nothing can put this out. Like you could walk up to me and shoot me, and I would tell you that this was still a life worth living if I got to see something like this.
Jesus, man.
It's fuck.
I'm
I gotta watch
so
Paris,
glad.
Texas, bro. I gotta watch
I'm
Paris, Texas.
so glad you got to have this.
Like I hate saying this as soon as I made like such a definitive declaration, but like House of Leaves is the thing that has still like overwhelmed me the most with its brilliance in terms of things we've talked about on this show. But like this did that, and also it aimed itself right at my heart, like right in there in the cockles. And so like I'm just kind of like, yeah, I if you ask me what my favorite thing you've ever recommended me, it has to be this. It has to be this. Like as brilliant as House of Leaves is and was, and how I will be thinking and talking about it forever. I like Wings of Desire is like a candidate for the movie. Like if I could only watch one more movie before I died, I'd seriously consider watching Wings of Desire. What a prompt, huh?
God,
Like
yeah,
you
that's
ever
probably up
think about
there.
that?
It's
You ever think
probably up there.
right? Like I don't know what my like top five for that would be. It would probably be very specific, but that is definitely one of them. Like maybe even top three. I might be lowballing it a little bit, but like yeah, this is the best new thing I've seen this year by a considerable distance. And I mean, if I lumped it in with everything I saw last year, it would probably be up there on that as well. Like I'm pretty sure this and I Saw the TV Glow have been the two most meaningful viewing experiences I've had of maybe the last 3 or so years. So yeah, two. You get the point. Wouldn't it be funny if I just went on this giant fucking rant about how I love this movie inside and out and how it was great, and I was just like, three, I guess.
I give it a 3.
I give it a whatever, you know.
Talk
Oh,
about scores I don't believe in.
hey. I have officially adopted my villain persona to tackle where we are headed today, ladies and gentlemen. We are joined by friend of the show, first time appearing on this lovely YouTube channel, Winslow. We are going to be burying the hatchet in the Silent Hill film cinematic universe with my recommendation to Jen this episode, which was Return to Silent Hill. And I only saw fit to invite someone else, not just because we have now all been converted to the church of Silent Hill 2. We are now firm apostles, firm believers, portrayers of this gospel, but we are also warriors, and we are here to fight on behalf of Team Silent. And I couldn't do it alone. I had to get someone else who had an axe to grind against this. And ever since this movie came out, your passionate hatred has basically spurred me forward on this recommendation because I was like, I have to encapsulate as much hate in this segment is as possible. Because there's no illusions today here, guys. We're not gonna pussyfoot around anything. We're not gonna this we are here for an execution. And the person we are executing is so
I don't think we could say that on the internet.
I'll probably have to censor that in hindsight.
Uh,
I'll
if there's
bleep it
any
out with
lawyers
Akira
listening
Yamaoka music. I don't know.
with a Kiriyama music, that's how you know it's a good YouTube channel.
See, and you know what? And that's why you're here. So,
Mm.
Jen, we know that you on this show, I ingratiated you into Silent Hill with the first film, then its follow-up, then Silent Hill 2, the ideal way you should get someone interested into Silent Hill. But you going into this, there were no illusions here. We all knew what we were getting into, more or less. I think that when we had the promotional material for this film teased months in the past, and we saw that one shot of James and Maria and the wig, it was like I looked like I paused the movie full on when Maria showed up in the film, not to jump the gun or anything, and like I was full on gasping, covering my mouth, and I could tell that Rhiannon was like, are you okay? What is the problem?" And I'm like, she's dressed like this looks like a porn parody. Why does this look like a porn parody? And then I was like, maybe the set photo, maybe it was just a set photo. Maybe it's going to look better in the final version. And then it didn't. So Jen, what are your expectations for this? Because this is the follow-up to the first one, which is a movie that is fine, is a fine little film. It's got its issues, it's got its virtues, but we could have, in theory, expected something notable to come from an adaptation of Christoph Gans's Silent Hill 2. Theoretically.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this movie was that when I saw the trailer, I thought the trailer was bad, but I didn't think it was indicative that the movie could be particularly bad.
It could
There's
have
a
been a
lot
bad
of,
trailer.
yeah, they cut together a bad trailer. There's a lot of, big money shots of things from Silent Hill movies like Pyramid Head and the siren sounds and the creeping tendrils through the streets and all these big effect shots. And it looked like a movie that was pitching itself as the next, I don't know, the devil conspiracy because it was
Mm.
coming out in January, but it also lauded itself with this notion of prestige that Christoph Gans was back in the director's chair. The director of the original Silent Hill film was back to helm his grand adaptation of Silent Hill 2. And I saw the set photos and I saw Maria's costuming and I thought, okay, it doesn't look good.
That's being
But
charitable.
Maria's costume is already very much a visual eyesore compared to what the rest of the game looks like.
Stands out.
I can see how, when attempting to emulate the aesthetic of the game, you arrive at a similar problem in your visual composition, where just like Sybil Bennett's costume in the first movie, it looks a little bit garish. And I thought, the actor that they chose to play James looks a little bit too much like he should be on Netflix's Outer Banks or
That's such a specific. Yes,
That's
you nailed it. Yes,
it's
absolutely.
fucking
and
bullseye.
that's not quite catching what the aesthetic of Silent Hill 2 is. But it would help get butts in seats if you had a handsome man in the movie.
We were gonna have to deal with like honestly, it when back in the day when I remember meeting Morgan and we talked about Silent Hill 2, I was like, they're gonna want a handsome leading man, but we also need to balance somebody who would be like suitably pathetic for James Sunderland. My compromise was Ryan Gosling personally, which I still think would have been an okay shot, but clearly
I
no
was gonna
one asked
say,
me.
after seeing Hitman and The Running Man, my call is Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell for James Sunderland.
That's
My
it's a choice. It's a
Because
choice.
he could have pulled off that uncanny valley between movie star and clearly shaggy, unattractive, uncharismatic dude.
Mopey guy.
But that's not the world that we live in.
No, we were
We
always
live
going to
in
live in a
Christoph.
Hollywooded version
the
of
We
it.
live in Christoph Gantz's world
the
now. And I
lauded
mean, let's
star
be
of
for
War
real.
Horse.
From the outset, this was the most direct promise that we had ever been given of a direct adaptation of a Silent Hill game.
Yes.
Because you have to think, the first movie has the gender swap protagonist, so immediately the movie takes on a different shape and form.
Hmm.
The second movie airs more closely to the plot of Silent Hill 3, but it being bogged down in its 3D showcase makes it much more of a spectacle than Silent Hill 3 tries to be.
Hmm.
And in both cases, I see why those decisions were made to make these movies adaptable if you're an idiot producer who doesn't care about these games.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
But this is the trick that the path to the return to Silent Hill has played on us all. Because even though we really knew that there was no reason to believe that this would be good, they tried so hard to get people like us to believe that it would be good. And that's what makes this a unique marketing disaster. And so
yeah.
my expectations for this movie were quite tempered because I knew that they were not going to make the movie that they were trying to sell me on. I knew it couldn't be possible. So I thought, okay, what are they going to do to Silent Hill 2? That's the real question to ask when sitting down to watch this movie is what are they going to do to the text to make it digestible and make it a suitable adaptation for Christoph Gantz's
I
audience?
don't think I can say the words on the internet of what this team did to Silent Hill 2. I don't think I'm allowed to use that terminology.
Like a long beat of silence.
I I mean, like, really, I am faced with the burden of like, oh my God, where do we even start with this?
Winslow, when did you know it was over?
Okay, are you asking me like when
What
I
was the
started
red
watching?
flag in the winds?
All right, I would like to specify Mr. Gans, however you say his name. This French fucker who is definitely watching this.
Oh God.
I want
Hold
you to know.
on.
before the bloodletting begins, I want you to know that I gave you every opportunity, okay? Because when this motion picture was announced, I was very optimistic because I happen to have a very big soft spot for the first movie. I also think Brotherhood of the Wolf is fun. He apparently made some fuck ass Beauty and the Beast thing in
Oh,
between
all
that
right.
no one that has Leia Seydoux. It's apparently very bad. Maybe if I had seen that, I would have tempered my expectations more.
You would have been more
Uh,
aware of the journey that he was taking you on.
yeah, yeah, the journey into his own personal Silent Hill, I guess. But yeah, so when they announced it, which like, and the way in which this movie was announced was very strange because there was kind
Yeah.
of, it was like he basically offhandedly mentioned, he's like, oh, I've written a new Silent Hill movie and also a Fatal Frame movie because I guess nothing's sacred anymore.
Wait,
Uh,
really? I didn't know
Yeah, he
this.
said that he
yeah,
wrote a Fatal Frame script that is nowhere near any
I
production yet, but
I highly doubt that that happens in the
Smother
upcoming
that thing in the
years.
crib, man.
So
Like, nuh-uh. Let's just
coming to coming to a theater near you in January 2029.
I'm going
But
at that I'm going at that script like James Sunderland at his wife. That thing's that it's not getting up.
it gets announced unofficially, and then it gets announced officially, like basically in tandem with the Bloober Team remake, which
Hmm.
I mean, like, as someone who holds the entire original series very close to their heart, and two in particular is very important to me. I had mixed feelings about Bloober Team's remake, but it's kind of shocking to me that that ended up being the more respectful thing out of all this
Very
because,
much
and
so.
especially because the first trailer for the Bloober Team remake looked so bad.
Yeah.
And we're in that, and they announced that and the movie in like the same, like the Silent Hill Nintendo Directs that they do,
It's
and it's
important that you mention that, by the way, because I think that that creates an interesting narrative for the fans of Silent Hill because
yeah.
we were ready to tear that game to pieces. We had every
Mhm.
reason to think it was going to suck ass. And everybody was like, no, okay, like even if we have some issues, if you're a little
Reservations.
precious about it, like this is still worthwhile. So it's not like this had no chance with us, you know? Like we were ready to be like, let's actually entertain the idea that this might have something.
Yeah. And also, it's funny because you mentioned like about like idiot producers who don't understand Silent Hill, and I think because the weird way it's announced and the weird way it's made, it gets made and then like kind of doesn't exist for 2 years and then gets dumped in fucking January. And I was just sitting here like, okay, in 2000, one of the things that makes the first movie so impressive is the fact that that thing come and for whatever problems it has, Sean Bean shaped problems. Let's not mince words. Like the fact that that movie in the form it exists came out in like kind of at like the peak of Paul W.S. Anderson,
Mm,
like where that's what the average video game movie looks like, and it's like
yep.
holy sh and like compared to all due respect to the vulgar tourists in the room, I think that the first Silent Hill movie next to Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil looks a bit like Citizen Kane, but that's
And
neither.
you would be correct. I'm co-signing this take.
I'm maybe making an enemy with the funniest letterbox users by saying that, but I don't really care.
It's okay. We were already on their shit list anyway.
I'm so sorry, but I don't think Resident Evil Retribution is actually the best post-Wachowski action film. Sorry, but the
Oh, oh God, if it's possible for a statement to give you diarrhea, I think that just did that to me.
I think that like notwithstanding anything else, the environment that this movie that Return to Silent Hill is coming into is so much more charitable to a hypothetical faithful adaptation of Silent Hill 2
Hmm.
than the first one was back in 2006 because I mean and even Christoph Gans was talking about it in interviews where he's like oh yeah like we live in like a he's basically listing a lot of like A24 stuff where he's like okay yeah we're in a world where something like Hereditary can make $100 million at the worldwide box office, maybe a Silent Hill 2 movie is feasible, especially in the app like coming out a few years after the remake, which came out was very faithful and sold like millions of copies worldwide. So the fact that this almost feels more like the fuck ass thing that would have come out in the mid 2000s, more so than the 2006 one, is kind of baffling in so many ways. So anyway, because the original point was like when were the red flags raised? When I saw what James Sunderland looked like, baby's first Hell's Angel, I was concerned. Actually, no, before that, I was concerned when it was Jeremy Irvine because I'm not sure who I was expecting them to be able to get. Where I was just like, but because like my teenage fan cast was like Domhnall Gleeson or something like that. I don't know if he
Ooh,
would.
I
That
yeah, I see that. I see
Donald
that
Gleason would have done a good job at this 10 years ago.
for
So I
yeah,
sure.
definitely
exactly.
see
For
where that
sure.
came from.
Like Ex Machina era Domhnall Gleeson.
For sure.
But then so with Jeremy Irvine, who I think have I seen him in anything other than Warhorse? I don't remember, but he's not a name that sticks out particularly well, and it
Mamma
will.
Mia, here we go again.
Wait, he's in that shit? Oh,
Yeah,
well, okay,
apparently.
well, no disrespect to Mamma Mia 2. I haven't seen it. I have, but it has Jeremy Irvine, which is probably a strike against it. But um,
Nah, that's a good movie.
okay, it's a good movie, Jeremy Irvine notwithstanding. So when I heard it
Yeah.
was him, I was concerned. And but then when I saw him in like his fuck ass black leather jacket, I was like, why does he look like that? And then I think we saw that we saw what he looked like at the same time we saw what Maria was gonna look like, and I that was when I got a little concerned. I didn't understand why Maria looked like that. And so that was some red flags, but also but because then we had nothing but that weird BTS footage to go off of for like a solid year, I want to say
Hmm.
almost. So I was
Yep.
just sort of like I was like, you know what? Maybe this looks like shit if it's like raw footage ungraded in like the background of a Silent Hill Direct, but maybe like the actual final movie will look good. Then the worst trailer ever edited comes out, and I start to get very concerned. But then again, I'm like, okay, but because who actually picks? I don't because I don't know. It's like distributed by Cinev. It's whoever does like the Terrifier movies. That's what they do. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this
Yeah,
doesn't
the
have.
the team that just distributed Terrifier 3. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I was like, all right, well, you know what? Like they're not used to editing trailers for like slow building psychological horror movies. So maybe they're not maybe this trailer is not representative of the movie. Then like obviously reviews start coming out and I start hear which are the reviews of this movie are were to say the least. You know, I almost want to just clip that one bit from Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, where he's like, let's call it mixed reviews. Uh like the shit emoji or whatever.
I
And
want to
I
be so clear that even the January release date did not make me think that this movie was automatically going to be
no,
bad.
No.
no, the week before, 28 years later, The Bone Temple, a movie I think is pretty great, came out, and I was like,
Yeah.
hey, January does not necessarily need to be the home of slop.
It
Uh,
hasn't been for like 10 years when Split, I'm telling you, when Split came out in January, it changed the game. Because there's always one little movie that sneaks in January that's really
Like
good.
a secret
yeah,
heater. Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, maybe we get two secret genre heaters in January when I was young and foolish. And so then I go into the and by the way, I have to ask this. This is an important because I have two questions actually. Am I the only one here who saw this film in a movie theater?
Yeah, I did not see it in the movie
Yes.
theater.
Yeah.
Okay, let me describe the experience first off.
Oh
I go
no.
in there. It's not a very filled up theater, but this theater is filled up of what I want to say is a maximum of eight people. One of whom is like this fucking like looks like a Hell's Angel guy who fell asleep multiple times. He looked like he was there because he thought he saw this movie's version of James Sunderland and was like, I feel seen by this. Everybody, everybody else looked like they were me, right? They looked like perturbed Silent Hill fans who lived in the Metrotown Theater in Vancouver. So we go, not to dox myself, I guess, but like but
We do it all the time.
Yeah, it's okay.
uh, well, I mean, but the thing is, I'm making enemies with Christoph Gans. I don't know what
The
I don't know what
French
that
Yeah,
Canadians are
but
coming after you.
you
yeah,
can't
but
let him know your zip code.
yeah, so I go there and I sit down and I'm like, you know what? Like let's like maybe I become a vulgar auteurist for this because a lot of people don't like the first movie, and I think the first one kind of rocks, Sean Bean notwithstanding. So when the first thing that Mr. Christoph Gans shows visionary director Christoph Gans,
Don't
who's
you
the
just
who
love how that's in every trailer now is
It's
from
second
visionary
only to
director?
from the messed up mind of blank. It's like, oh no.
Only one person gets to do that, and then you just look like a hack.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. When the first thing that he shows me is like, I was like, because I also rewatched the picture a few days ago, not sober, I
So
must be fair,
sorry.
because
Thank
I
God.
the lovely thing about watching the movie a second time is that I was at home and I was like, I can just kind of break out the rum and make this go down a little easier. But I want to say that like the literal first shot of the movie is like it's like an establishing shot going down this highway. At least the second or third, it's like there's a close-up shot of like the Ford Mustang logo on his steering wheel, followed immediately by him just striking up a blunt.
Ripping
And
a fat fucking blunt,
and
man.
now and in real time, I have to tell you that like my expectations were modulated several degrees because I was like, okay, we are not in like teenage Winslow's ideal Silent Hill adaptation is because James Sunderland has sunglasses on and he's smoking a blunt, listening to the worst fucking rock music I've ever heard in my life.
It's really bad.
So I'm like, okay, accept this right now. We are in Silent Hill Revelation 3D territory. We are in I am hammered as fuck on a Monday night at 4 a.m. And there's a movie on the television. I don't know how it got there. That's what this film is. Accept that now, and it might go down easier. And I don't know if I'm like skipping ahead and talking about the actual movie, but like but like the movie
No, we're
We
good. This
gotta
is a good
get there
flow.
eventually,
I will
unfortunately.
say, okay, I will say because like this first half of this movie exists in the Silent Hill Revelation 3D camp of like this is absolute filthy trash, but is also kind of adorable and is it is adorable is the word I would use because it's like, oh, this is so cute. This thinks it's doing stuff. It's really not. And it makes for like a good drunken time, crossfaded time, what have you. The less aware you are of your surroundings, the better. Uh,
Yeah.
but then the movie absolutely hits a point, and that point is that when I because I remember the one last bit of pre-release info I knew, which I think no one fucking knew about this until like the day before the film hit theaters, which is that the same actress plays multiple characters from the games, and this was perhaps the final red flag before I saw the movie because that 100 years ago that was the question. So where I was like, what do you mean the actress who's playing Mary and Maria is also playing Angela? What is the utility of that? Not realizing, because even then I was convinced that they could not possibly arrive at the conclusion that they do, which is that what if they were all what if all but Mary herself are imaginary and they're all just in James's head. I'm like, okay, because that is the moment where I realized what they were doing to Angela is perhaps the actual precipice of no return. That is where like my this thing is kind of cute turns into like a kind of deep visceral loathing that from which the movie cannot escape. Past that, it's like no, it's game over. There's a chip on my shoulder. There's an axe in my hand. Your Honor, I did it. I'm guilty. It's like it's like that like it's genuinely one of the most and I'm trying not to be that kind of fan who's like, how dare you do this to my source material? But what they do to Angela in this movie, in a movie that otherwise does almost nothing right from a formal narrative, what have you standpoint, what they do to Angela is like I would say from any kind of adaptation, and also just like even on its own merits as a standalone piece of cinema, is like an unforgivable creative decision.
It,
It's like the kind of thing where it's like, and I know that there are some of those aforementioned vulgar tourists, like who are some of whom go to bat for this thing. I've heard this in whispers. Respect your artist subjective. You can like whatever you want. I genuinely do not understand the mindset of someone who gets to that point. And even notwithstanding whether or not they have a previous connection to Silent Hill 2, I don't understand how you get to that point and you aren't just like, and you're like, no, this is like so moving and powerful. How do you get to Mary, Laura, Maria, Angela Crane, or whatever bullshit is
oh, that's like the worst fucking shot. That's like like I saw that and I can't describe the animal noise that came out of my mouth. Like
It's
I made
really funny.
I probably lost a year of my life
I
looking
was
at that shot.
I was trapped in a movie theater. I couldn't even pause it and be like and scream viscerally. I
I
was like,
I 100% screamed into my pillow at least twice. I can't verify exactly how many times it happened, but it certainly did happen a couple of
yeah.
times. And you know, I like it's really difficult for me to get into the frame of mind of trying to be as upset about this movie as I actually am because it already kind of feels like wasted effort just because it's such a it's such a it's a dead film. Like in a very different way than the Ghostbusters movie we talked about was a dead film. That was a dead film because it was bereft of like anything. This is dead because it is bereft of all good ideas. It is solely composed of ill-advised changes that I didn't expect a good adaptation of Silent Hill 2. I really didn't. And I never would have, even if you took away all of the preview material and everything that let us know ahead of time that this was going to suck. I had zero actual plans to judge this as a true honest to goodness adaptation. I just wanted to see if this would even remotely work as its own thing. And I I know for a fact Christoph Gans has gone on record saying that Silent Hill 2 is his favorite game, and I find that utterly fascinating because I want to know. I want him to write an essay and tell me what he likes about Silent Hill 2 because
Do you guys think the French translation of Silent Hill 2 is really
Is
bad?
you
Do you think that's
know,
how we got here?
there's
maybe
actually
look, there I feel like that is
All
a
our
much
base are
more
belongs to us, but it's Mary's letter.
That's a far more compelling evidence as to why this is the way it is than a genuine, honest to goodness shot at adapting the material. Because if you like the story of Silent Hill 2, whether or not you want to adapt it or see it like translated or whatever, it's just like if you just like that story, this is not really that story. This is a story about a bum ass loser guy
oh
who
no,
who
he's an artist, Jake.
he's a tortured artist,
He's a
excuse me.
tortured
He's a
artist.
Yeah.
very tortured artist. And he paints and he smokes weed and speeds and he almost hits this girl, but he then picks her up. And then they have like a 2 year long relationship that happens completely off screen. Bafflingly, once again, I simply don't understand the point of trying to emphasize their relationship while still not showing it like at all. But, you know, whatever. It's not like we saw a lot of their marriage in the game. So, you know what? That's fine, whatever. But they still spend such a
I was gonna
requisite
say
amount of
it's like
time.
it's basically from a filmmaking perspective indistinguishable from the Crow remake.
Because it's the
That
same fucking screenwriter! It's
that
the same
what?
one!
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
the,
like wait, did you not
No
know that? Did you not
yes!
know that? It's
Yes, it
like yeah.
is.
No.
It's big and it's phenomenal because they do the exact same things. They spend more time with the love interest before the inciting incident and death that's supposed to inform the entire story without actually fleshing out their dynamic. They ultimately do a thing where they redeem the main character and bring the woman back to life at the end because he's such a super special boy that he gets to keep her. Yay! Fuck you!
So here's my this is not to imply anything about my rating or my score, but this is my dark horse defense of Return to Silent Hill.
Tread very fucking carefully.
Oh god.
I'm going to approach this from the
Oh,
most
I need
good
probiotic
faith,
soda. Oh god, my stomach
I'm
hurts.
bro,
Jen,
I'm too fucking
Jen.
sober for this. You can't do this to me right now.
from the most good faith defense of this that I can possibly muster is okay. Let's start with the facts. This is not an adaptation of Silent Hill 2. This is a different story. So, is the story succeeding at what it's trying to accomplish? And I
No.
think you're not ready to admit that the answer is yes. It does communicate its themes
Tread
about how James,
lightly.
it does
I think the ice is
effectively
cracking.
communicate its themes about how James Sunderland is a special boy who only ever had bad things happen to him and who did nothing wrong, but still has to apologize for it anyway. And isn't that so tragic? And it is. Like, I got to thinking about that part where he has to apologize to Moth Mary at the end when Mary tells
Oh,
him
wait.
to kill her. So the whole idea that James would even feel guilty about killing Mary is mostly implausible. Like, I
No,
get the idea that you can
I
have this weirdly, deeply embedded thing in your psyche that's like, yeah, I saved my girlfriend from her dad's cult, but I like had to kill her, and that was really bad and made me really upset. But they're not willing to go that far. So it's just like James has to apologize to Mary for doing a thing that Mary told him to do.
and your argument
And
is that
James's life is the product of this gigantic conspiracy that's so much bigger than him. But then at the end of the movie, he gets a second chance. Somehow, some way, the town of Silent Hill grants him the ability to not only avoid all this suffering, but save Mary and take her with him and get away from it all. And isn't that so great?
so your point is that divorced from the context of Silent Hill 2, this works and sucks.
Yes!
Like
I
it
would.
is coherent, it is just also still bad.
My dark horse defense is that yes, there is a decisively coherent narrative happening here in a way that I cannot say about other movies that we've done on this show, and in a way that frankly makes this more interesting to talk about. Because it being so coherent means that coherent adaptational decisions were made
Very true.
even if the product of them is some subplots in the movie that read as incoherent compared to the games, such as the inclusion of Eddie at all in this movie.
Jimmy
Just
boy.
fucking
Jimmy
shows
boy.
up and
You woke him up, Jimmy boy.
yeah, I mean,
You woke him up, Jimmy boy.
Jimmy boy. Fucking, I don't like. I think that this is a great opportunity to just talk about our favorite changes that this adaptation makes. And you know what my favorite change that this movie makes is that I often say, if any Silent Hill game could be a movie, it's Silent Hill 2. It is the easiest one to make into a film, frankly. Like, it uses the language of cinema. It takes a lot from established cinematic tropes and has a lot of parallels with many famous things, things that are, Lynchian in nature, perhaps. So there is a vibe to shoot for. You can go for it. And it is a self-contained island of a story. You not have to worry about packing in the lore or whatever, or trying to faithfully do all these things. It's like it just works as its own thing. And so when you're adapting Silent Hill 2 and you're not doing 1 and 3 like you've already done, which are connected, technically speaking, you are removed from the burden of having to do that. So logically, what you do is impose the burden on yourself by putting the cult, the thing that generally speaking people just don't really give a single fuck about, even in the Silent Hill games that they're in, because it's like,
Insert the clip of the first Silent Hill episode that we did. My favorite game is Silent Hill 2 because it doesn't have the cult stuff in it.
and there we go. It's just that no, this isn't a story about how James Sunderland is trying to confront the denial of his own guilt over the deteriorating relationship that ultimately gave way to him killing his ill wife. No, it's actually about saving her from the cult that's poisoning her and eating her, I
That's
think.
it. That's an interesting point to bring up is that The cult is such an interesting inclusion in this movie for a lot of reasons. None of them are charitable, but like because across three Silent Hill films, all of which include a version of the cult, and yet are all fucking completely incompatible with one another. In the first
Completely.
movie, in the first movie, it's like insane Puritans, right? Who are like, we're
Hmm.
doing this to Alessa because she's a witch. Revelation 3D, which I have not watched in a long time,
Good.
they're kind of on. I think the cult is just like they're on uh ketamine the entire time. I don't know what they're doing in that movie, but they're a bit closer to what they kind of are in the games, where it's just like they worship a devil, like Samael's the devil in the game.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, and then in this one, it's like the Crane cult who apparently founded Silent Hill. Can someone, and Christoph Gans, if you're there, you feel free to chime in. What exactly do they do? Like, what exactly is the cult in this
Uh,
movie? I'm not even talking about their
uh,
function in the plot as like a thing which functionally is there to remove any amount of moral complexity or blame from James Sunderland's shoulders, because Christoph Gans thinks that everything he did in the game is cool, apparently.
including killing his
So,
wife.
including killing his wife. Chris, okay, this okay.
He had to do it, guys. I don't
I'll
know.
pre
He
I'll I'll,
just
pre I'll preempt this to say that this is a joke, so Christoph Gans's lawyers can just sit down and sip their coffee. Christoph Gans, I get the impression that he thinks wife murder is great, based off of because why else would you go so out of your way, including inserting a cult subplot that does not make sense. I don't know what Mary dies of in this movie.
it's surprisingly quite vague. Like they imply that the cult is poisoning her, and then they also show her being eaten alive by the
Yeah,
cult members at one point. And it becomes like weirdly about Mary, but also we find out nothing about her.
yeah. Like as far as like adapting Silent Hill 2, like a good change that I can see the argument for is like doing a kind of flashback thing where it's like getting more
Sure.
of Mary's perspective. Because it's like because obviously so much of because besides like the kind of abstracted way that we get through Maria, which is like whether or not any of what Maria is saying in Silent Hill 2 relates back to Maria at all. Mary, this that's gonna get fun real fast. But is up for interpret. We're kind of meant to interpret Maria as more or less a completely different person that Silent Hill is made up.
Yeah.
Whereas with this movie devotes a pretty significant chunk of its runtime to going back, and yet we understand basically anything we understand less about. We learn more about like the fucking letter at the end of Silent Hill 2 that we get that Mary writes. Like once we get like the full version, we learn more about the character of Mary from that letter
Yeah.
than we do from all this added bullshit that Gons has shoehorned into this movie. Like, I don't understand why at least what feels like a third of it feels like it's proportionally like at least equivalent to what the Sean Bean shit in the first movie takes up.
I would say
And yet
more. I would actually say more.
it
The
certainly feels
specific the specific crime of rewriting the letter and not including the full version of the letter. Not even as a way to like you can just do that, dude. This is a completely abstract, surreal movie. You could just do that
And like
at the
it's
end.
kind of like a fanboy thing to complain about this, but like it's such an easy way to score points. Is just read the goddamn letter. It's right there. Just
Well,
read
and
it.
it's not even that.
Ah.
It's not that they don't read the letter, it's that they change the letter. That's the
it's
thing
like
that baffles me.
To
it's like a great
absolve James of guilt.
Is
the
that you
letter
went in and
Explicitly.
did that. You went in and did that on purpose. You didn't just think like, oh, the letter is a good literary motif for the game to have that serves as a point of connection and communication for James to Mary that the player can get attached to, because that's one of the unique things about Silent Hill 2 is that you can read that letter as many times as you want, but you only get the full version of it at the end, and so it always like cuts deep when you get there. But in this, it's just we'll simplify the first version of the letter
Yeah.
and not do the second version of it. And yeah, it's a little bit fanboy to just be like, oh, you didn't read the whole letter. But like, no, you went in there and you changed it to make the
Well,
story different. So I have to wonder about the intent and not just like what they thought was fat to be trimmed, because it's more to it than that.
yeah, the letter's like a grand total of like it feels like 50 words in the movie, and it also
Basically, it's a tweet.
it's just some bullshit. Like it's a terrible letter. Like
It's
it's
all
like,
platitudes.
but it's all
Yes,
platitudes, and also
yes.
it also ties into like another thing that this just does with the basic setup of Silent Hill 2, which is that Silent Hill 2 begins pretty cool, like it begins right in the thick of it. Like
Mhm.
James is already in Silent Hill, and we learn that his wife is dead, and yet he's back here looking for her anyway. So like, okay, James is probably a little bit crazy, and also his wife is dead, and yet she sent a letter supposedly. And when I first saw the movie in theaters, I was genuinely confused because until the midpoint of the movie, it
Yeah.
was not really made clear that she's dead. And I was like, is that just, because this movie is what it is, I was like, is that just a catastrophic failure delivery of narrative information? Or is it a deliberate choice to withhold that revelation until the very end? If so, both cases, it's fucking embarrassing because like the way they reveal it is almost casual, like fucking Maria just like finds a tape recorder that's like, I guess she's dead. And like, wow, that's like so much more emotionally impactful than the game starting that way, I guess, says Christoph Gans.
Why wouldn't you want to keep pace with your main character finding out this information? There is no logical reason as to why you should separate who finds out what while they're doing what they're doing.
Because it's such a because like that the basic setup of the game, like, and not to be a fan, I don't give a shit actually. I'm gonna be a fan.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Be that
I
guy.
don't, but like the basic setup of Silent Hill 2, you describe it to people and it's so much more immediately gripping. As like this guy goes to this spooky town to find he's gotten a letter from his wife who has been dead for several years, as opposed to in this movie, which thinks that that shit's boring as hell apparently. What if it was like just his kind of girlfriend that he just kind of hasn't seen for a few years. He doesn't really know what's going on with her.
Fellas, your on and
He
off
met,
situationship went to Silent Hill. What do you do?
but especially considering the fact, well, especially
Am I the asshole for murdering my
I'm ahead of the asshole for burning my wife with like the edit of like, but she asked me to do it. It's frowny face on Reddit. Like it's like,
Am I the asshole if I killed my wife, but she asked me to?
yeah,
That's the new Silent Hill in one sentence, one byline. There you go.
nothing about that is as gripping. Like even taking out any other elements, it's like that's just not as good of a hook for a story, and I don't get it.
So, an interesting thing about this movie is that there's a flow of dialogue that once you realize that you're in it, you know exactly what type of movie that you're watching.
I hate how I know exactly what you're talking about.
And this happens to me very quickly because one of the first exchanges of dialogue between James and Maria, James is asking her, "Where are you headed?" And she says, "The city."
The
And
city.
then there's another line, and then she goes, "Well, I guess I'll just go back to town. You
James
know,
Sunderland is just so
Silent
Town.
hot.
Hill."
James Sunderland is just so hot that she decides that it wasn't meant to be.
She doesn't even like she's so discombobulated she forgets to use proper nouns. She just
And
thinks
then,
she's so sexy.
and then
Especially
I
since she's
also
trying to get away from a
realized,
cult. And she's like, oh, but this guy's so hot that I'm gonna
You'd think
actually
she would be a little bit more urgent.
just like,
But
get on the bus. Not
yeah,
only are you
like
going to get in the car with this guy, you're going to tell him to take him back where you just tried to run away from.
I mean, an insane decision, honestly. Like, I didn't even really think about that until right now, but that's actually like, in order to make the audience feel like that scene is a meet cute, that decision as a character makes no sense.
yes,
None
I
at
got
all. Like,
And
not
then
even a little.
son, I remember when me and your mom met. I fucking ran over her suitcase and almost turned her into red mist on the road. I knew it was meant.
And then I really realized what movie I was watching the first time that we see James's
This
therapist.
is my favorite inclusion,
They
man.
have one shot and they really like it. They use it many times.
The
It's
broken
shot.
glass shot?
It looks
Yeah.
like Madam Web, dude.
It does look look like Madam Web. You know what? I was trying to think of what it reminded me of while I was watching it, and I couldn't think of it. And I think that that's it. I think you actually fucking nailed it.
I
It's
like he's aiming for Mulholland Drive and he landed at fucking Madam Web.
it's it's fucking hysterical, man. How we actually live in a universe where someone
Where James
viably
Sunderland
said,
went to
but
therapy.
what if James Sunderland went to therapy? Oh man,
Right.
all his problems would be solved.
See,
Yeah,
you
wouldn't
see,
they? Wouldn't they
you,
all be solved if James Sunderland went to therapy?
Like the
you know,
cult and everything.
Silent
Oh,
Hill, Silent Hill 2 is my favorite game of all time, but you know what's really missing? It's really missing someone who calls a wellness check on James
it's
Sunderland when he's in fucking
they
Silent
give him
Hill.
a therapist after already offsetting his guilt because of the cult to just extra assure the audience, guys, he's fine. He's doing okay. He's healthy and he's in his right mind. So when he killed his wife, he was totally just. It's like the movie just keeps inventing reasons for you to actually be okay with the fact that James killed his wife. When you circle back to what Silent Hill 2 is and how it challenges you and how you're like you sympathize with this character for so long and then you get the other side of the phone call. You see this perspective of Mary and what it was like for her and you're just like, "Oh man, I kind of been playing as a real piece of shit, haven't I?" It makes you do some introspection. Here, no, don't think about it. Don't think about any moral quandaries. It's a cult who is the source of all of the bad psychological angst. James Sunderland has a therapist. He couldn't possibly be mentally ill in some way, shape, or form. But you know what else? Fucking change I absolutely love. Turning Laura into like a little monster. What in the hell is going on
Okay,
there?
okay. My one dark horse defense is that like I think what they do to Laura is ridiculous, but I think
It's so
that
funny.
the little like apparently it's the same actress who plays her in the Silent Hill 2 in like the remake, which I think is kind of
Really?
Yeah, it
yeah.
is.
Huh.
Yeah, I think for nothing, I think the character herself is like embarrassing and hilarious, but
Yes.
when I was rewatching it last night, I was like, this actress is at the very least selling this really
She's
bad
doing a
act.
better job than the adults. I
She's
mean,
exactly. I'm like she's locked in a way that the rest of this cast is just not. Because
I
especially
believe
during
she
like the,
wants to be there. You're right.
I believe that it's just like why is it that she has like a better understanding of like mannerisms and micro expressions than fucking Jeremy Irvine, who's like just especially during that one scene when he's like walking towards her, like it's all I want, and like Jeremy Irvine is like thinks he's operating at a 100 and yet he's getting blown off the screen by this embarrassing Tim Burton ass little girl and I'm like what the hell is happening here.
All he can do is smolder. That's all he's got is he's just occasionally like, oh, wow. Oh,
Can
gee.
I can I talk about how bad the production design is in this movie?
Dog.
Eastern,
Again, reminded
Eastern
me of The
Europe is so
Crow.
good.
When we
Eastern
go
Europe.
to Heaven's Night and it looks like a hipster brewery,
Dog. What the fuck? How do
it's
you
so
fuck
great.
that up,
And the
man?
cult is led by a woman who I can only describe as Dyke Michael Sheen from Tron
Ha,
Legacy.
ha, ha.
Can we just like take a moment's pause to appreciate the delivery and like conception of that line because truly bravo. It's,
No, absolutely. Like,
That's
and
yeah,
that's been cooking.
the fucking compositing in this movie is so poor. I never believed that anyone was standing where they were supposed to be standing. And when you think about fucking Rhoda Mitchell walking around the first Silent Hill, it's just like, yeah, I believe she was walking around those alleyways. I believed that fog was real. Those
The first
classrooms were empty and detailed and stuff. These guys are walking in front of green screens the entire time.
It's the upside down.
yeah, it's like well, it's
Oh
like
my
season
God.
five, like era Stranger Things of
Oh
Upside
my
Down.
God, you're
Where it's
so
where
right.
it's
It
where like
looks
everyone's so
exactly
evenly
like
fucking
that.
lit, and I'm like, why does it look like the lighting's like there's no lighting sources, and yet
Th-
there's like very defined
Rhiannon and I
holograms.
were actually talking about that. She was just like, why do the things in this movie look wrong. And I was like, it's because they're using these really intense, like overcast lights in front of scenery and they're compositing it normally. But like the lighting in the physical world that is shining on these people is like obviously lighting their clothing. And then they, like in the background, it's like a temporal just portal that's to another universe elsewhere that makes it look like they're standing in front of a world that doesn't actually exist. And it's like, I I just
It's
what was did this movie have a budget like a decent one?
I have to assume because a lot of stuff is on screen at any given time. It's like one of those things where it's
20
like
mil.
That's a little less than I would have figured.
it
So,
kind of, it kind of looks like they're trying to do a lot more than they should with 20 mil though.
oh, they're
It's like
stretching the fuck
Compare
out of
that
these
to
things.
Revelation 3D was also 20 mil. So,
I just want to put it out there that the Brutalist cost $10 million. I think the world should put that.
You know, I like there are moments where the CG, specifically when it's capturing like the first monster, the actual monster that's in Silent Hill 2 that they bother to bring in that isn't
Pyramid
Pyramid
Head.
Head. But the fucking the
okay,
restrained
you
one.
can't get mad that Pyramid Head is in this movie.
I can
What's
I
get
can
wrong
mad
with
that
I
you?
can, I
Pyramid
can get
Head
very
is
mad.
bad in this movie. I can get very upset that Pyramid Head
Why
shows
is
up
he?
and they
Why is Pyramid Head
immediately
like?
zoom in onto his helmet and show James on the inside. Do you
I
get
think
it? Because he's Pyramid Head. Oh.
I know writers who use subtext and they're all a bunch of fucking cowards. Like just it's like
It
I,
sounded like when he lunges into the closet, like the only reason I know that this isn't the case is because we had subtitles on. But when he confronts Pyramid Head in that initial scene and he like reaches into the closet, it sounds like Pyramid Head, when reaching towards him, growls, "Me!"
it's me. Like he's doing like the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing thing. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
I mean, like
it's
it's
me.
like that's what he's doing, and then he like pulls him out, and I'm just like, okay. I love that this movie, like, oh, we finally get to put Pyramid Head in the thing that he's actually supposed to be in. Okay, good. You paid attention there. You put Pyramid Head in it. But you go out of your way to absolve all of the guilt that James Sunderland could possibly feel. All of it. You justify it every step of the way. And yet you still also are like, not only is Pyramid Head James, he's literally his face is the same. Do you get it? And it's like, no, you made it mean less and then
You know
connected it
how
more.
somehow, some way, Silent Hill 2 just like comes out and says it in the dialogue and it works. And they don't
Yeah.
say it in this movie, despite laying it on so much thicker with the
Paints
visuals.
the pyramid
But it
over
also
his
means
head.
nothing.
He
Like
paints the red pyramid on his
because
face.
Jake, he's an artist. He's an artist,
Oh,
Jake.
oh God. Sorry, sorry.
Jesus.
He's an artist.
I
I
I
forgot.
also I also just wanted to say one last thing about just like the way that this movie generally looks, because other than like the occasional kind of interesting shot or image, this movie I'm just like, oh wow, the first one had like Dan Laustin as the DP, like Guillermo
Yeah.
del Toro's
Mm-hmm.
main guy, and like he
Mm-hmm.
also shot like the John Wick movies,
Yep.
which doesn't exactly do this thing any favors.
It
I
there are
feel
moments where the camera tries. There are moments.
there's a lot of trying.
Yeah,
There's so
I
much
mean,
trying in this movie.
like it mimics that one sequence where we get like with the overhead camera shots that like mimic the
Yeah.
alleyway thing. But where this movie does it is when James gets thrown out of a bar at the very beginning of the movie, and it like shows him getting thrown out as though it's a scene from John Wick where the camera's like following over top of him and he gets thrown into the alleyway, and it's like, I mean, nifty, but also like, why aren't you showing important things happening in an interesting way? Because everything else is just kind of a headlong medium shot. And that's when I can focus on the fact that what is in the frame is not spider ass, just a big,
Yeah.
big old
Dude,
thorax.
I mean, I can't.
It's just a big thorax.
Just a
Here's
big
my
fucking
thing. I
inked
feel like
up
I'm grading
spider.
this on, I feel like I'm grading this on a curve, but like it's not like Pyramid Head is done any worse in this movie than he is in Revelation. He shows up, he fights a big monster, he gets some money shots.
Yeah.
Pyramid Head is just a big monster.
The
He
way he
means
punches
nothing.
the other monster on the table, like over and over again, like it's a fucking fatality in Mortal Kombat, is so
I
fucking.
actually,
He's like,
It's
I
really
actually,
gross because like Pyramid Head is so masculinized,
yes,
not just in literally being James, but also just like in his presence,
muscular,
heavily
big dude,
masculinized. And yeah, the spider
big
lady with
giant
the
sword, you know, like
spider lady with the reverse ass.
big old. She's got big ass and big titties. Like the movie wants you to know that this spider has a big ass and big titties. And also, the movie really likes butterfly imagery for some reason. And then there's a moth at the end because transformation. There's
I
not a
think
real reason.
moths. I think moths are also like they're. There's like a lot of situations where they use as like direct symbolism for death. Get it because she's dead. Yeah.
What?
James Sunderland's dead
Whoa.
fucking wife.
Holy shit, dude. It's crazy how too like they'll show like the signs of the areas from the game, like you'll see oh like Heaven's Night or whatever, and then it's
You
like a
see a
joke.
recreation on the map at the beginning when he walks
Or
down the
Yes,
stairs.
or when he
it's
walks into like the mirror room with Angela, I'm like, why would you even bother?
it's
Angela
like
does
a
nothing in this
joke.
movie except for
Immediately after they show you these signs, they show you the interior of the location, and it looks nothing like it. It's like, look, it's the thing you remember, except it's not. And it's like, well, then, like, you're not even like baiting me, like, right? Like this lasts for so little amount of time, you can't even properly edge me with fan service shit. Like, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm asking for just fucking something. It's just it.
Christoph. You can't even edge us properly. What the
I
hell happened?
Listen, there are worse things that a horror movie can do. I would know I sat through this, and that's a lot worse than I'm not going to continue this train of thought. That's just gross. The I
As a, yeah.
Okay, and also, you know what? It has to do with the fact that this is just so fucking half-hearted. Like they use
Yeah.
maybe what two pieces of the Akira Yamaoka score throughout the entire thing, and I'm just like, it's all there, man. You just have to like copy and paste it. It's not hard. I am giving you a freebie to make your job easier. Just put in the music that everyone wants to hear. And they're like, here's like a little orchestration of it with some motifs, and then like, fuck you. And it's like,
It
Yeah, no,
still
it's
is Yamaoka. He
yeah,
made new music for this.
I was gonna say that the two things on the Yamaoka of it all, the fact that he composed the entire original score for this, even though the Silent Hill two original score is one of the most perfect fucking albums that you could like one of the greatest game soundtracks you could ever ask for.
goddamn right.
So it's the point where I don't understand why it's not even why Yamaoka even felt the need to make a fucking album full of what just sounds like horror temp music when you
Yeah,
had
basically.
straight fucking fire right there. And secondly, whenever they actually do incorporate motifs from the original game, it's like legitimately laughable. Like the fact that they use like the theme of Laura Reaper, like the scene that plays in the game
Ugh.
when during like the fire staircase scene with Angela, probably the best scene in Silent Hill 2. They use it
Ugh.
for the ending when Mary has been resurrected or whatever the fuck is supposed to be happening at the ending of this movie. And I'm just sort of like, why is this here? And then he gets in the car, turns on the radio, and like theme of Laura proper plays, and I'm like, what is happening? And he puts on his fucking sunglasses and like feels like he's about to strike up another joint. And I'm like, if you had told 15-year-old Winslow that the Silent Hill 2 movie would end with like James Sunderland turning on, literally diegetically turning on theme of Laura on his fucking Ford Mustang with Mary in the passenger seat, him putting on sunglasses, maybe smoking a
Driving
blunt,
into the sunset
that
in
while
their
theme of Laura
happy
plays,
ending.
while theme of Laura blasts and plays us out of the picture, I would be like, "What are you talking about? And why are you talking to me?" And and that's just how the movie ends. Like it sounds like you're making shit up when you say shit, but you kind of can't make shit up with this movie.
It
You
Like the
really
know,
scene
is like
is a shit post.
comparable. it's comparable to the other two Silent Hill movies for the first hour. And
Yeah.
it's only when we get into the like time jump, fragmented memory, alternate dimension, whatever the hell this third act is doing, is when this becomes especially. I mean, it already is especially heinous because I actually care about Silent Hill 2. But like,
It's
I at least
incomprehensible at some point.
I see how a
I,
dumb guy makes the first hour of this movie
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
easily.
Uh-huh.
A
100%.
dumb guy, a dumb guy can't make the third act of this movie by accident.
Yes,
it's like
feels intentional.
it's like a dumb guy that you want to back away slowly from, and like
A
text him.
dumb guy who's like a little dangerous, who you're like,
Guess, like if I saw him in an alley, I'd be like, oh fuck, this might be it.
like I yeah, like I gotta keep like 911 like on dial like right here, right
Yeah.
now. Especially when it comes to like just everything that this movie does with Angela pisses me off so unbelievably much. And yeah, it's because I love Angela. I love her utilization in the game, and it is as though they want none of the thorniness or even really the intrigue, and they just want to include her just to throw in the bed monster at the end to be like, "Hey guys, do you get it? Her dad molested her." And it's like, I
Well,
fucking played the game. Yeah, I knew. Thanks. What is
the
this? This doesn't mean anything now. We don't even get like don't get me wrong, I'm glad we didn't pull doing some shitty version of the for me it's always like this scene, but not doing anything at all? Like at all.
Flipping the scenes even because we see Angela first in the graveyard where we're
Hmm.
supposed to see Maria. And
Yeah.
then we only get Angela with the knife in the room much later in the movie after James in the movie proper has practically forgotten about her.
Yeah, like I mean, especially since Angela in this movie literally does not exist. Like she is
No.
literally a frag. Like the idea is just that she's like another fragment of Mary, I guess. Which, firstly, and Angela like is such is she's. I mean, she's the cover of the fucking game, the original
Yeah.
game anyway. Like
Hmm.
she is one of the best video game characters,
100%.
in my opinion. She's like everything with her is so heartbreaking, and it's kind of amazing that this PS1 game is kind of like still one of the best like and most tasteful depictions of that kind of subject matter. And the fact that, and then you get to this major motion picture in 2026, where like you go back to like what the abs, because like the bed monster, I think it's called like the abstract daddy,
Yep.
because Silent Hill monster names are just fucking nuts like that.
Yeah.
Like so like that scene in even like to Blueberry Team's credit, I think they do Angela pretty well in their remake.
Hmm.
And both versions of Silent Hill 2, the games, the abstract daddy scene, which happens in the which also, I mean, we don't the labyrinth stuff. We don't even go to the labyrinth because
No.
this movie refuses to have fun. Is
Yeah,
the
like it could have been a cool opportunity for something, but now we're not gonna.
yeah. So like the and like everything with the abstract daddy is like it's so thoroughly disturbing. It's like one of the
Oh yeah,
most upsetting and heartbreaking parts. Like the fucking fiery staircase is so devastating, and the fact that this movie, firstly, when you even see the abstract daddy, it's just like I don't know. It's like literally like her head is there, and like a guy who I guess is supposed to be motherfucker Crane, whatever the dad's name is supposed to be.
yeah.
Like, and I'm just sort of like, I'm immediately just like, that is the point of no return for me, even before we find out that she doesn't exist. Like, it's like we have, like, where I'm like, no, this is offensive to me, not just as like, for someone who holds the game very dear. I just feel like this is a very fucking tasteless, childish way to tackle this subject matter.
No, you're
It should
completely
be
right.
I don't understand how someone who is like Silent Hill 2 is my favorite game is like, what if Angela was fake? Like, truly, that is where I'm like, does Gons actually fucking hate the game and is just lying to me? Like, because you could only do that. Although there is a possible other option here, because the funniest interview of all time is the one where Gons claims during pre-production to have like literally read Reddit fan theories and like incorporated some of those into the game. I would like to sit him down at gunpoint this is a joke again for his lawyers. Like, and have him tell me exactly which parts of this script are taken from Reddit. Because if the Angela is fake one is from Reddit, I'm like, yeah, no shit. That's something that some dipshit on Reddit says in like 2009 or whatever. Someone who's like probably 13 years old.
I
Like
hate that
it's like
you telling me this makes this movie make a lot
a
more
lot, a
sense to
lot,
me.
a lot of things click together when it's like even more so than something like Rise of Skywalker. You can literally, the director fucking admitted that he's like, I was like scrolling some Reddit fucking threads, and it's
We
like,
need every writer and director in Hollywood, we need to take Reddit away from them. We need to they're not
Well, it's
allowed.
like we
Block it.
know we know that the people that wrote Spider-Man No Way Home were on Twitter, even if they weren't going to admit it. And it's nice that we're just admitting it now. If we're going to do it, we might as well admit to it, I guess.
We can't live in this world of fan theories just being right and then that being our stories. We can't let Reddit be our myth makers, guys. This is a bad sign. This is a bad omen. We need to
Jake,
curb this immediately.
do you really think this is gonna last? This is the product of that thought process.
Then we were talking about Wings of Desire 4 hours ago. Let me have my optimism, you
I,
son
I,
of a bitch.
I
I'm
actually
being
can't.
optimistic. I'm telling you that this will not happen because it makes bad art that nobody likes.
What if you think Wim Wenders was like, would Wings of Desire have been better if he had Reddit to work off of?
Maybe the
That,
sequel would have
I,
been.
I can't fucking believe that. I
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
can't believe that you two fucking double featured Wings of Desire with this contemptible trash. I mean, I guess which one did you watch first? I have
I
to
did
ask.
it
I
the other
watched
way.
I
I
watched
watched.
Silent Hill first. I watched that
Yeah,
first.
okay. That makes sense because you have to kind of come back down
Yeah, I
from
gotta I
that. You
gotta
have to
lift
step back from
myself
that
back up.
precipice. Yeah.
And subsequently, it's why we talked about Wings of Desire first, so that we could plunge ourselves to the deepest pit of hell right now. And then we wouldn't have to claw our way out of it because that takes considerably more work. That is our version. You know what? That's it. Jen, this is what this entire thing has been about this entire time. You and me and Winslow, this is our
Uh,
Silent Hill. They have drug us back, and we are here and we are dealing with our trauma. We are all the characters of Silent Hill, our own Silent Hill now. Townfall, who?
Okay, Jake, if I don't end this segment, neither of you will. So I'm gonna do it. I
You're
think
right. You're right. I'm not fighting you on that.
neither of you are
I
going to stop. There's
I
gonna
actually
be just like
yeah
new thing after new thing after new thing, and
yeah I was
eventually we're being a little bit redundant. Not that we're having any kind of bad discussion. Every detail we've gone over so far is worth going over. I want to put one last bullet point on this, and Winslow especially give you one last chance to like let you get anything else about this movie off your chest. But the last
okay.
thing that I'm gonna say about it before I put a cap on this is that I'm not surprised.
No,
That's the one thing that I can
honestly,
say about this movie is that as
no.
baffled as I am by exactly what decisions that it makes, I was never surprised that it made decisions this baffling, if that makes any sense.
I think I had to accept when I saw Silent Hill Revelation a long time ago that like nothing after that could conceivably surprise me. It's just you can't after that. That is like, and that's the thing. I think that that's probably a worse movie. Like
I enjoy it more.
maybe even a significantly worse movie. But this to me is a league's worse adaptation. Which I mean, that's a bad Silent Hill 3 adaptation. Don't get me wrong. It gets categorically more right than this does.
It's also just more fun. Like it's got the goofy
Yeah.
3D effects and
Unfucking fortunately,
It's
you're
got
right.
Malcolm McDowell and it's got a better Pyramid Head
And
monster
stupid
fight.
Yeah.
3D bullshit. Like,
Yeah, I
oh,
was actually gonna say because this has been like a struggle where like because especially because I was thinking this in real time when watching the movie, like especially because like there's a bit that shocked me, which is the bit that we were talking about a little bit uh involving like Spider Woman who shows up, which is like the one that but she has like a moment where like she literally runs right up to the camera and like screams, which is I actually gasped because I was like, that's the same fucking shit that happens in Revelation 3D
Yeah,
like
yeah, the
when like the
Spider
fucking
Lady.
man
Yeah.
and I was like, what? I was like, what is happening? Like I can't believe so like for the rest of the movie, I am genuinely like, is Revelation worse than this? And if as objectively as you can be, I could probably say yeah, if only because the thing is that Revelation is probably worse on a technical level, but I would
Yeah.
argue that Return to Silent Hill is like so much more contemptible and objectionable because, you know, at the very like I mean, Jen just kind of said it. Like, there's nothing that this movie that Revelation does that pisses me off as much as what they do to poor Angela or to poor Mary or to
Yeah.
poor insert character name here. Like there's nothing I find terribly offensive about Revelation 3D. Even though I love Silent Hill 3 and that's a terrible adaptation, but at least Revelation 3D yeah, it does have Malcolm McDowell show up. At the very least, when and also by the time Pyramid Head is 1v1ing my original OC Don't Steal at the end, I'm like so close to blacked out from everything that like
Oh,
I'm like practically cheering. I'm like, you know what? Fine. This is the theme. This is the stupid dumb shit theme park ride that this movie kind of functions as.
Yeah,
This
like
movie,
by sanding Revelation down into basically the plot of a YA novel, it gets away with being a pretty bad and stupid adaptation.
God,
But
it
this
is.
tries to have its cake and eat it too with so much of the emotional weight of the game, while in a, I'm gonna go there, capital M misogynist way,
this is
reducing the presence of sexual violence in a
Yeah.
way that actively hurts what the story is trying to say about
Yes.
gender roles and gender performance and what that does to James and all the other characters in the town and how that's affected their lives as well. Because it's a movie where sexual violence still happens a whole lot, but also James Sunderland gets to go to therapy, but also none of it actually happened, and he gets to have the happy ending
yeah.
with Mary. So isn't he really a better person after all for
James
enduring
Sunderland,
all of this?
our hero.
I would love to grab a beer with James Sunderland.
Oh, yeah.
But like I yeah, off of that because I'm glad that you brought that up. This is such a deeply misogynistic read of Silent Hill 2. Not even like taking into account that that yeah, in the fucking game, Mary, Angela, and Laura are all distinct female characters, and Gonz's big brain fucking read is what if there was actually only one female character and her name was Mary, and that's and flattening all of them as a result.
And
It's
they're
just
and they're even splitting it into like the whore Madonna trope a little bit there, where you're like,
yeah,
oh, this is gonna go totally unexamined, isn't it?
yeah,
Yep. Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, like that, like the game, like it feels like it is engaging with that kind of like stuff so in like such a disciplined way, and this movie is like so fucking. It feels gross and not in like the good Silent Hill way that you want to feel. It's
Yeah,
like
I mean, because
it's like ugh.
I talked about when we reviewed Silent Hill 2 that I like the idea that Maria and Angela are both psychologically for James extensions of Maria and
Yes.
show components of his relationship with Maria, but they're still literally real people that have their
People.
own character and their own thing going on. Born from a Wish,
Interiority.
Born from a Wish aside, which makes some of that stuff about Maria a little bit more literal in a way that I think is interesting, but still doesn't hurt the themes of the
Yeah.
original game. But anyway, gobbledygook. Um,
Whatever.
this movie, yeah, in a way that is just straightforwardly misogynistic, in that Christoph Gans does not think that these women are interesting,
No.
reduces them.
Nah, they're boring. Screw them. James got to smoke weed.
Yeah, James is an artist, so he cares
Why
about
would
trees.
James care about Maria or Angela? I know he said that. I know he said that at some point while making this movie.
That
Why would James
hurts.
care about Maria or Angela?
like the fact that yeah, like his interaction with Maria is just every scene with Maria is so obnoxious. Well, like I mean, they don't even do the equivalent of the fucking prison scene, which is the other like
No,
the
the
Silent
scene,
Hill.
the
The
fucking
scene,
scene. See,
uh,
I'm real. It's the line.
yeah, where I'm just sort of like there's parts of it where I'm just like, did Gons like forget that part, like, or did he just like I just don't I where like what about the game does he find interesting? Is what is what I'm almost left with because he
Like,
doesn't
what
find
what
any
has
so
Christoph
many of these.
Gans done in this time since? Not play Silent Hill 2.
He's thought about it a whole lot. He's like read some fan theories. No wonder this movie's so fucking misogynistic. Half of it's written
Uh,
by.
oh, I'm gonna ball my fist so hard my palms are about to bleed.
Okay. Winslow,
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
it's been a pleasure.
I literally don't know if I could have split my ire among just two of us. It felt inadequate.
I'm happy to help.
Your contribution is much
It
appreciated.
will be forever enshrined, our collective suffering, here in our special place, our own Silent Hill.
Well, when you put it that way.
God. Uh,
I can't wait till he makes another one.
I just threw
What
up a little bit.
what if he just
All
what if he like
right.
does PT
Jake,
next? No,
Jake, don't get tuckered out yet. I've got a verdict to deliver,
All
but
right, all right.
bye, Winslow. I gotta do this alone.
this is very cathartic.
I'm
So
glad it was something to somebody.
all right. Now, please walk back from this precipice. Your mental health is important.
I'm gonna get so high when we're done. Who's
I need
first?
you to know, I need you to know that I feel like I'm shouldering an immense responsibility right now. The fate of the show is in my hands,
Oh fuck, I forgot about that.
is in fact in the score that I'm about to give. I want you to know that I've never considered that lightly, but God, did I fear that it would come to this point. Because, see, the thing is, I knew I had you with Wings of Desire.
Yeah, you did.
And I wasn't sure if I was going to have you with Ghostbusters, but I really do feel like I just had the perfect 1-2
You really
of
did.
bad and good recommendations that blindsided you. And that's what I wanted this season. I really wanted to trip you up and catch you off guard.
You got me.
And I remember you said when you decided that this is what we would do, that I had misstepped, that I had left the sword of Damocles hanging above for you to clutch and bring down on me. Really? I just gave you the noose that you hang yourself with. Because I'm going to say this, and I really need you to believe me. I've seen worse.
Yeah, I mean, I
I've
get it.
seen worse. And I've gotten to a point in my life with this fandom stuff. I was visiting my parents actually last week. And for some reason, we got to talking about Twilight. And then for another reason, we got to talking about Percy Jackson. And then my mother recalled the experience that we had watching the Lightning Thief movie in the theater. And she always like tells the explicit anecdote of the part when Highway to Hell starts playing, where I leaned over to my mom and just said, what did they do to this book? And she says that to everybody now. So shout out to you, Mom.
I
I'm
love
glad you thought I
that
was funny.
your mom is confirming that you and I, upon seeing the Percy Jackson movie, had the exact same thought at the exact same moment. Just reaffirming this show, really.
I've seen worse than Return to Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Frankly, this isn't even the worst version of itself because this did not disappoint me
No,
as much
no.
as something like Stranger Things season 5 did. Where even when I knew it was probably going to be bad, I was surprised and
The
disappointed.
magnitude.
The magnitude of it was different for me.
Mm.
But I can't
Summon.
lie to you and act
Nah.
like this hurt me in the way that it hurt you. And I'm sorry that I can't feel your pain. Genuinely I am.
Look, I did
Because
my absolute best to impose that pain onto you by making you play Silent Hill 2. So you know what?
trust
I
me,
have just as much agency in this as you.
trust me. I'm able to recognize everything that's wrong with it. I just think my appreciation for the original material is still so fresh and new that part of this just bounced off of me, where it's like, this isn't even the thing that I love. And that offered me some comfort where normally saying that about an adaptation of something would disturb me. Because if it doesn't even resemble the thing that I love, then it can't be a perversion of it.
True.
I mean, it could, but it's
It's not.
different standards apply if
No.
it doesn't even resemble the thing that I love at all.
Not, that's the thing. I don't find it difficult to understand this wavelength. This is different from, say, the not the Morgan Wallen, the who's that other fucking guy?
The Walker
Yeah.
Hayes.
This is what that separates it from the Walker Hayes
I'm
or
not even saying I'm
the
having the opposite of a Walker Hayes because
well, that's
if this isn't the worst movie that comes out this year, I'm gonna be really surprised by
yeah, and
something coming down the
well, and
pike.
that's why I'm saying I'm not more animated, I guess, because it's like it's not as though you liked it. That would have been the only thing that had ruffled my feathers,
And
frankly.
I don't have as much as you're willing to accuse me of faking it for the bit,
I wouldn't
faking
say
it for the score.
I wouldn't say accuse.
You're
Im
implying.
Implying, suggesting, hinting, saying,
So trust me when I tell you that I'm not doing this for the views when I really haven't been able to muster giving this more than a 3.
which means
Because there's too much of this that's just bounced off of me. But what that means is that we are tied.
it's 24 to 24, isn't it?
It's 24 to 24.
Fuck.
And I mean it's 24 to 24. I
Fuck.
tried not to do this. I would have handed you that 4 in a second if I believed in it. But I'm telling you that I don't. I need you to believe me.
Okay.
You've made a tactical error.
Have I?
You've turned the revolver that I set on the table into the noose that you hung yourself with. And now it's time to deliver the double tap from an unexpected angle.
Let's give it everything we've got! It's punishment time!
And I've got a perfect kill shot. There's
You know
one,
what, Jen? Do your worst. I'm ready.
there's an author that I know you love,
Boy.
whose works are prolific in film and television across our entire lifetime, constantly reinterpreted by great filmmakers and great artists, some of which can even elevate the material of his writing into new heights. This is a man, and this man's name is Thomas Harris.
I'm listening.
Give me a one sentence on your relationship with Thomas Harris for the people that may not be familiar with this aspect of you?
Probably my absolute favorite crime fiction author. And I mean, Red Dragon is like top five novel of all time. I love basically every single adaptation of all of his stuff, even the kind of lame Red Dragon reboot that's directed by a sex criminal is kind of okay. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a pretty big fucking fan. Except for the Ridley Scott movie, that thing sucks.
Yeah, I know you think that Hannibal movie
Boring
sucks.
as shit.
And the works of Thomas Harris, the character of Hannibal Lecter, have become synonymous with film and television.
Oh no.
But
Oh.
there's one thing
Mm.
that I know you haven't touched. And a thing that once I sat down and watched it, I knew would be perfect for this exact moment. Jake, we need to talk about Clarice. The CBS adaptation of The Silence of the Lambs that for copyright purposes could not
Be
feature
called.
the character or even speak the name Hannibal Lecter.
Jesus.
But it really wants you to think about Hannibal Lecter a whole lot. And we're gonna watch it together.
Is it too late to recommend Hannibal Rising?
Did you think that was what I was gonna do?
No, but I hoped. I hoped because I knew that I hadn't seen two adaptations of Thomas Harris's stuff, and I knew which two they were, and I know what kind of person you are. You aren't just gonna recommend the funny bad movie. We can't just do that. We gotta take it a step in the other direction. We get to talk about this for real, for real. Oh, fuck. Okay. That was a bridge I was gonna have to cross eventually one day, I suppose. I'm not gonna lie to you, Jen. I'm having to look through my list because I don't know.
Take your time.
Because this is a unique circumstance because since we're tied at the 11th hour, this is all on this next episode. Whoever gets more points in the next episode, they walk away with the gold. So I have to against fucking Clarice. I have to give you something really special. I feel it necessary to just point out the fact that my incredibly sneaky fiance just texted me saying, recommend every season of 13 Reasons Why. And you know what? If I didn't have to recommend you something good, oh, I would consider it. Oh, wouldn't I just consider the
That
fuck
might
out
be
of
one
that?
that might be one to keep in the back pocket because I've never
Oh,
seen that show.
oh, it's there. It's there. It's in the pocket. It's in my fucking wallet. I'm carrying that everywhere I go.
Carrying my
This
13 reasons
Oh,
every day just in
and you
case.
know what, Hannah Baker, only 13? Bitch, I'll give you more than 13.
I'll give you something to kill
I
yourself about.
I think. Yeah, okay. I've been on a bit of a Disney kick lately, revisiting some old childhood classics with Rhiannon and stuff. And you know what? It's been quite valuable because that was a big foundational part of me growing up. And I get to see a lot of stuff that I didn't maybe properly appreciate. I get to explore a lot of the older Disney movies that, like, I always liked Alice in Wonderland, but now I'm like, that's a proper masterpiece, if you ask me these days. And so getting to reevaluate and relitigate these is often quite fun, quite illuminating. But the one that benefit the most substantially from relitigation for me, the one that I saw again that I had such fucking fond memories of, that I loved so, so dearly on revisit, and that, if I'm being honest, is partially responsible for me sitting here right now for a couple of very specific reasons that I would love to get into upon talking about it. But, Jen, no beating around the bush. We're going to talk about my favorite Western animated film, Disney's Treasure Planet, the
I'm
most
so
Jake movie in existence.
I'm so ready.
Halle fucking Luya. We offhandedly mentioned how funny it was. We were talking about the Goo Goo Dolls song that was in the remake of Wings of Desire, City of Angels, that didn't win an Oscar. And now we get to talk about the writers of the Goo Goo Dolls who wrote an original song for Treasure Planet. Boom, full circle, bitch. Climactic tiebreaker. Sounds kind of sexual. Like, oh yeah.
Final bout.
That now you're just coming up with Dragon Ball game subtitles.
Damn it! I knew I'd heard of it somewhere.
Dragon Ball GT Final Bout, yeah.
Wait,
Um
that's real?
yeah, Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. That was a PlayStation 1 Dragon Ball game. How do I know that off the top of my head? I'm fucking I don't know.
Autism. Bum bum bum.
But Tis, that's just this show. That's our theme. That's our real theme song. Autism. But bum. Next time on the arc finale of Jen and Jake's bizarre affray, will they find gold in the hills of Treasure Planet, or will the lambs finally stop screaming?